Okay, so let's talk about how to get the most out of your nuts and seeds. So most people are eating their nuts and seeds either raw or roasted or toasted, and often without sprouting or soaking the nut or seed. Now, we always want to soak nuts and seeds because nuts and seeds naturally have something called an enzyme inhibitor on them. They also have what's called antinutrients like phytic acid, lectins, and different things that can interfere with your body's ability to absorb the nutrients that are actually in the nut. Or if you're eating other foods with the nuts, maybe even interfere with your body's ability to absorb those nutrients as well, okay? And when we have, so let me explain an enzyme inhibitor. So if we have a nut that has an enzyme inhibitor on it, and it's just what it's just what it sounds like, right? It inhibits the enzymes in your body from breaking it down, all right? So if you're not breaking down the nut, then you're not absorbing the nutrients. Beyond that, first I just want to say a little side note. If you're one of those people, and I often have them say to me, oh yeah, I see nuts in my stool. Or when I eat almonds, they're in my poo, or cashews, or something like that, right? So that could be because your body's not breaking it down and it's just going through, right? Who knows what's getting stuck in there anyway. Or it could even mean that there's something else going on, like maybe you're not making enough enzymes in your body to break it down, or making enough hydrochloric acid, or maybe you even have too rapid of a transit time. Like you should eat food and it should take time to go through your digestive system so that you can absorb everything from it. And if you have too rapid of a digestive system, then you're not going to be absorbing the nutrients. Even if you soak them, likely, that's not going to happen. So just side note on that, because if that tends to be you, if you're one of those people who see food in your stool, let me know, because we need to work on that. It's totally resolvable and it's easy to fix, but we just got to get you on the right track so that you have the healthiest gut possible. And when we don't have a healthy gut, when we have an imbalance in our microbiome, in the good guys versus bad guys, right, it could possibly set us up for future risk of getting some kind of bacterial or viral infection, which we all know we don't want. So this is about health optimization and getting the most out of your nuts. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about soaking your nuts. All right, there's a difference between soaking and sprouting. Soaking takes less time, so we can get right on eating those suckers. Sprouting takes a little longer, and it causes the seed to actually sprout into a tiny plant, which is chock full of nutrition. So that's for another video, but today we're going to talk about sprouting. So here's how you do it. You start with raw nuts and seeds, and you want to preferably have them organic. If you're one of those people who doesn't have that available in your area, that you can likely get them online, but start with raw organic nuts and seeds, okay? And then what you're gonna do, it's like the simplest thing in the whole wide world, okay? So don't make this complicated and don't be afraid of it, because it's totally easy. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a bowl, you're gonna get a strainer, and you're gonna take your nuts and you're gonna put them in the strainer and you're gonna rinse them under the water. So you just wanna rinse them so that you're rinsing off any debris or dirt that might be hanging out in there, right? And then you're gonna put them in your bowl and you're gonna put some sea salt in there. So sea salt, I personally use colored sea salt. You can see this isn't white. If you have white sea salt, throw it out or use it for something else, but don't put it in your body, because the purpose and the greatness of sea salt is the fact that it's not bleached out and there's minerals in it. That's what makes it colored. And those minerals actually help you absorb nutrients. When you're actually putting it in your nuts to soak, when you're putting it in a soak, then it's actually helping break down the enzymes and stuff, and the enzyme inhibitors and the different anti-nutrients. So it's really important to have your salt in your soak. But when you're just naturally eating sea salt, eat colored sea salt. So again, nuts in the bowl after you rinse them, sea salt, cover it with water, and then I like to put a little napkin over it and then just leave it out on the counter. Like, how long did that take me? Less than a minute and a half, right? 90 seconds to do all of that. So that's all you do. And you let it soak for an allotted amount of time. And every nut is different. So below this video, I'm going to have a list of how long to soak your nuts and seeds. And there is differing opinions on all of that. So me personally, like the other day I had some pecans and I wanted to make some pecan butter, but I wanted to make it out of sprouted nuts. So I took my pecans, I rinsed them off, I put them in my bowl, sea salt, water, covered, put it away, done. And then when I was capable of coming back to it to make the butter, which was like 4 hours, 5 hours later, then I just took my nuts, drained it off. Ooh, I just spilled some stuff. I drained them off, rinsed them, put them back in the strainer, rinse them again, because you want to rinse them after they're done soaking. You want to rinse them really, really well. And then you can either use them for a nut butter or a recipe. You can put them in the refrigerator for eating over the next 3 days. You don't want to make more than you can eat over the next 3 days, because they do have the tendency to acquire bacteria if they're left out or you don't eat them quick enough. Or if you let them soak too long without changing the water. Now, soaking typically doesn't take more than 12 hours. Sprouting does. And if you're sprouting seeds or soaking for longer than 12 hours, you want to make sure that you're rinsing them halfway through, okay? Or at least every 12 hours doing an extra rinse. Yeah, but then once you're done sprouting, you're gonna, like I said, rinse them off and then use them. So I used mine within 4 hours of soaking. And you know, basically out there, you could soak them for 2 hours, you could soak them for 4 hours, you could soak them for 12 hours, you could soak them for 24 hours. So how do you know what's right? Nah, I don't know that you really do. You know, Weston Price, I think, has a really solid way of sprouting nuts and seeds. So if you want to investigate Weston Price, that's probably a solid way to get your numbers. I kind of go by that myself. And I also kind of go by how I feel. So, you know, pecans I might usually soak for 6 hours or maybe even up to 8 hours. And so this time I made them for 4 hours. So what I'm going to do when I eat my pecan butter is I'm going to pay attention to my body. Like, how does my body feel? Am I feeling like I'm digesting my food, or do I feel bloated, or do I have fatigue, or did I get a headache, or did I get a swollen joints, or anything that's out of the ordinary, right? Because usually I know how my body feels on a day-to-day basis, and I have a pretty standard diet. So when you start looking at the subtleties of how your food is affecting your body, you can make changes. So maybe next time I find that, oh, that 4 hours didn't quite work for me, so maybe I'll go 6 or 8, right? So I just wanted to make this quick video for you. It's really simple. And again, I'm going to put the hours below this video. So go ahead and you can copy and paste those into a document or something. So that way you have them. But, you know, mainly don't make this a big deal, because first of all, you want to get the most nutrients out of your food, right? And by removing the enzyme inhibitors and removing the anti-nutrients, then your body's capable of breaking it all down and absorbing the nutrients. So, you know, if you leave it all on there, you are setting yourself up for possibly not really absorbing things like calcium and iron and copper and magnesium and zinc. And the thing is, how many people do you know who are popping all those multivitamins and minerals and zinc, especially now, right, in the age of COVID, yet maybe they're eating nuts that aren't soaked or sprouted, and they're not able to absorb all the things that they're taking, right? So we gotta start thinking in a bigger picture and thinking about optimizing the way we live, okay? And this is about optimizing how you eat your nuts. I'm not saying don't ever buy a nut at a store without soaking it and eating it again. However, if you start soaking your nuts and seeds, you're probably gonna find that you feel way better when you do that. You're gonna feel more energy, you're gonna feel less bloating, you're gonna feel less pain, you're gonna feel less fatigue. It's just what I notice in my body. So yeah, enjoy that. The other thing is, lastly, just so you know, that if you do make a habit of eating foods that have enzymes and inhibitors on them, you know, it could actually lead to things like leaky gut and autoimmunity, because it just doesn't, the gut doesn't handle it very well. And most, if not all, autoimmunity and chronic disease has an impacted gut. Okay, so really this is about helping support and nourish your gut, your soil, back to health, right? If you're going to grow a plant in soil and that soil has been depleted of nutrients and it's just lacking in nutrients, you're probably not going to have any really nutritious fruit that's being produced from that plant, because it doesn't have the nutrients in the soil to absorb, right? And your gut is like the soil of your garden. So you want to make sure that you have plenty of bioavailability in your food, and you want to have a really intact GI system with really good bacteria flora, with a really good tight junction so that there's no leaky gut, everything that stays in there is in there. And the things that we do that can create inflammation or bombard the GI system can lead to those dysbiotic states and leaky gut states. And so, so again, we're back to optimization, right? So all the things we can do to make your life better and your health better and you feel better, that's what we're here for. All right, have fun.